okay. Because the thing is, this chat at the beginning, we just edit it out anyway, if need be. Stop touching my leg.
Sorry, it's really not
It's not that type
intentional.
of show.
We are very close, but it's not
So-
intentional.
Well, we're set up now, so I can't move back. Hi, Steph.
Hi, Ali.
We finally made it.
We made it. Tell everyone how long it's been.
A lifetime.
You perceive it as longer than I do, I think.
It's been a lifetime. Steph was like, do you want to do a podcast? And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And then she was like, yeah, just about like football coaching and stuff. And I was like, yeah, sounds great. I was thinking, yeah, we'll just do it in like a bedroom somewhere.
Here we are, big pimpin'. You did come to my house ready to record.
Yeah, we did. Well, we did a little,
A rough
very
thing. Yeah.
But now we're here in an official recording studio with graphics in the back. Shout out, Kush. Why are you looking at that? The camera's there.
I'm looking at myself.
Oh, I thought I was the vain one.
Does anyone, when you're on a Teams call and you don't look at anyone but yourself?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That's all I do.
Yeah.
Look at myself.
Standard
Even though
behavior.
it's flipped as well, which is really odd.
So, do you want to tell everyone? So, we're finally here. It also took us a lifetime to come up with a name. But the irony is, the name that we settled on is actually the first name that we came up with. I'll let you reveal it.
I feel like Kush has already revealed it.
Oh yeah, choose. Yeah, but only if people are watching.
If you're looking, you can read it.
If you're looking, if
you're looking, oh, that's true. Actually, sorry. It's
a podcast.
If you're not watching the video version, which you should, because we look good. The title is no, but they'll have clicked on it.
Oh yeah, this whole bit. You know what? This is a pilot episode. Okay, so we're all learning. Every day's a school day. Anyway, why don't you just tell them anyway? Welcome to... No, I hate that.
Oh, well, the name is Who's Got the Balls? Because we do. But, and we don't need to go deep to say it.
What do you mean we don't need to go deep to say it?
You can just say it in your normal voice that we've got the balls.
We've got the balls.
Thank you. And...
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what though? That's interesting because that will probably come up in a later episode. I think about coaching behaviors.
Yeah.
Great.
So we dropped our voices because we were like balls, but actually the title is meant to fight against that, isn't it?
Already.
Yeah, 3 minutes in.
So maybe we should talk about why we wanted to do this podcast and therefore what it is gonna be about.
Okay, let's do it.
I mean, why did you want to do it? You came to me saying, do you want to do a pod? Is it just because you like spending time with me? Don't lie.
No, because when we did it, when I asked you, we weren't really like that close, were we? Well, certainly not certainly not as close as we are now.
Oh.
It wasn't like, oh, I want to spend loads of time with Ali. Like,
I mean,
it was more of like I suppose being a female coach is isolating.
See, I even hate that. Like, I know why we differentiate, but I even hate that. I even hate that we have to say a female coach. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's a good point because I think actually being a coach in general is isolating, but maybe if you're a female coach or if you're a coach of a different type of minority, then there's just an extra
other
layer on it.
For sure. No, I think for this pod in particular, I think it's important that people understand we're going to be talking about coaching football. But obviously, if you couldn't tell, we are two women. We identify as female, and we're going to be talking about it, therefore, from a female perspective, because that is our lived experience. It doesn't mean that sounded like I was going to
get ready, everyone. Get ready. Well, please try.
But no, I just needed to clear my throat. It doesn't mean that stuff we say isn't going to be relevant to male coaches, because actually I think so much, if not all of what we say is going to be relevant to male coaches, because it is still just about coaching football. So a lot of our experiences male coaches will have had too. But some of the ones they haven't had, because they are specific to being a woman in football coaching, they can learn from. And so we definitely want guys to kind of come on this journey with us. But yeah, like being a woman who coaches football, is quite a journey in itself. And so basically we just wanted to record a podcast where we explore some of that. Some of it's going to be relatively lighthearted. I mean, we're quite lighthearted individuals most of the time. But some of it, like, we are going to delve into some stuff. I think some of it's going to get a bit emotional. Not today. Keep it light.
I was going to say something slightly emotional.
Oh, well,
I don't know if it's emotional, but
it's a safe space.
Yeah, but when we were talking about like how it can be isolating, I remember I remember I was sitting in my car and I had a bad experience. Well, not a bad experience, a difficult experience coaching. I'm actually a really good driver. I'm a really good driver. I've never seen you drive for a reason.
I just don't like parking. Driving, like cars moving, I'm fine. I just get very anxious if I don't know the parking situation ahead of time. And in football coaching, actually, that comes up a lot.
So that's why I got like a mini, like the smallest car I could get.
Yeah.
But it's not big enough for my balls.
Right.
Or any of my other kit.
So much stuff. But sorry, I interrupted you.
I can park wherever I want, but I've only got one ball for 20 kids.
Got the ball. There's been some surgery.
I've got the ball. No, I was going to say that on the topic of it being isolating, yeah, I'd had a difficult experience and then I shared it with you and then through a voice note and you said, no, it's important. I don't want you to go to sleep like feeling a certain way about this. Let's talk about it. So I felt like, oh, this is the point of talking to people and talking to someone who's had similar experiences or who has similar experiences, whatever. I really saw the value in that and that helped me a lot. So I think that's important for us, that kind of vibe.
Right. And I'm so glad you said that as well, actually, because that's also an important part of this pod. We don't want this pod to just be something you listen to pass the time and then that's it. We want to create a community out of this pod and we want to create a safe space for women and men to share their experience of coaching, good, bad, and otherwise. But particularly we wanted to create a community for women to kind of share and not feel so alone and isolated in the way that you say. So yeah. Gosh, it's got heavy stuff.
I know you're staring at me really intensely as well.
Sorry, maybe I'll just look at the camera.
You look people in the eye a lot more than I do. It's hard work for me. But no, I was just going to say I think sometimes when you start coaching there are assumptions about what coaching actually is. And maybe we don't do too well at challenging those assumptions and people just try and go along with it. But we need to talk about what it actually is and the good parts and the bad parts and all of it together.
So it's taken us about 8 minutes to kind of in a really roundabout way tell you all what the pod is going to be about and why, our motivations for doing it. Today is kind of this.
No, first, could you tell them about the name, about your sleepless nights?
My sleepless night? Oh my God. Coming up, you lot don't understand. When we talk about journey,
I understand.
I really feel like the term journey is really overused in football coaching. It actually annoys me. But if we're talking about journeys, boy, let me take you on a journey. Okay, so we had to come up with a name for this pod. And Who's Got the Balls was actually a jokey one that we came up it was maybe the first or second.
Because I think we started with Have I Got Balls for You, which is a play on a British TV show called Have I Got News for You. And then it quickly moved to Who's Got the Balls, like really quickly.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe it was the second one we came up with.
And then, but we were like, oh, is that a bit silly? And then I was going to say we, but it wasn't we. It was me.
Well, I feel like it led to our first real discussion.
By discussion, do you mean argument or no?
No, it wasn't an argument. It was a high level emotional chat.
Okay. So what happened was then I just really I do like being creative as well, and I like coming up with names for stuff. But I knew that as soon as we had the name, we could get going on the design. Exactly, this beautiful image that we see in the background that is going to be you'll have seen it all over the socials. But until we had the name, we couldn't even commission any design. And so I felt like until we had the name, everything was just being delayed and stalled. And I was just getting very frustrated by that. So I kept coming up with names, including at like 4 I'd wake up at 4 a.m. It's not a joke. I'd wake up at like 4 a.m. in the morning and be like, hang on a minute, what about this? And I should have brought the list actually, because some of the names were ridiculous.
So bad. Well, we did do a session, didn't we? And what game were we watching? Rachel Brown-Finnis was commentating and you went to get a drink. So I just wrote down every phrase.
Yeah,
it didn't work.
It was awful. But we got there in the end because we actually got there right at the beginning, which is who's got the balls. But what I was going to say was this is like an intro / pilot episode, but we still wanted to cover. So can you hear that?
I can hear the train.
There's a train.
There's a train.
We're in Waterloo. We're just in the station. We didn't go to a booth in the end. We're just literally sitting.
I brought this shell.
So what we wanted to still explore in this introductory, we thought a good place to start would be purpose. So why do you coach? Why do any of us who coach? Why do we actually do that? So that's what we're kind of gonna explore in this episode, and let's see where it takes us.
Okay. Do you want me to ask you the question?
Well, I feel like this is probably also a good time to confess, because I think it's worth the listeners knowing, if they don't know already, that I'm not currently coaching. I'm taking a break from coaching. So obviously I'm very happy to discuss why, when I was coaching, what my purpose was. But I thought, seeing as you're the one who's like actively coaching, I feel like a fraud right now is what I'm trying to say.
No, but what we could do is why did you get into coaching in the first place, and how did that evolve over your journey in coaching? Because it was a long time. You were coaching 8 years?
Yeah, about 8.5 years.
Yeah, so what was the start point for you? And then, okay, just do that one. Why did you get into it initially?
Yeah, so it's going to sound a bit like I've just sort of made this up to sound good, but it genuinely was. I got into it because I'd got to the point. I was always told that football wasn't for me and it was a boys' sport. And I thought that meant the whole sport. There was just no place for women in that sport. And so I was already in my early 30s when I started coaching, which I think is an important point for maybe some women listening who are thinking of getting into coaching. But the reason I started coaching was because I was like, I don't see myself playing. So I was playing Sunday League at the time. And I was like, I don't see myself playing in this way for forever. And now that I've found a place in the game, I want to stay in it. But also, how do I give back to the 7-year-old me that was desperate to play football and was told she wasn't allowed, it's not for her, it's for boys? How do I make sure no girls now at that age are told, and this is like 8.5 years ago, so the picture is even very different now. Like the picture has changed very much in this country, even in those 8 years. But at that time, there was still like limited grassroots provision for girls. There were academies and everything, sure, but there wasn't a lot of grassroots provision for girls. So my motivation was, let me go and coach a group of girls who just want to explore football and have fun with it. And let me make sure they've got a safe and fun space to do that in.
Mm-hmm. And then as you went through your coaching journey, did that reason evolve a bit? Did it stay the same? Did new reasons arise?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think
thank you. Thanks everyone.
Yeah. It's not a first time. I think it did change in that was anytime I coached, my priority was the players. How can I give the best experience to the players in front of me, whether they are playing in some grassroots club or whether they're playing in an academy. But what then became added into the mix of that was, how do I develop myself as a coach so that I can improve the way I give them the best experience? So I think some of my motivations then came in as, well, actually, I need to start coaching in different environments because I need to start testing myself. But also I need to start learning what environments are right for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we'll come on to that again in maybe in future episodes. But yeah, my motivation was always about providing safe and fun spaces for girls and women to enjoy playing football.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Steph? Why do you coach now? And is it different to why you like your motivation? Also, how long have you been coaching?
Yeah, so I've been coaching, I think, 4.5 years, but there was like 2 crazy COVID years in that. That I think it's just, So you could call it 10 years or 1 year, essentially, if you factor COVID in. So I initially got into it. So I had quite a different experience to you growing up, in that I was and I didn't realise this.
That's Steph's really kind way.
I'm 10 years younger, okay?
Saying there's an age gap here.
Not that anyone could tell. Yeah, see, you look 20. You look 20 when you do that.
So kind.
I didn't realise, because I grew up in Newcastle, which I'm very proud of and we'll talk about, I'm sure. I didn't realise till I moved to London when I was 18 how fortunate I'd actually been when I was in Newcastle. So I think I started playing when I was 8. And then by the time I was 10, I was in a full girls league. We used to go, we used to go every Saturday morning. There was a full league. It was at a school, but there was 7-a-side, 9-a-side, 11-a-side. You progressed all the way up to under 16 in that league.
And you played other girls' teams?
Yeah, we played other girls' teams. I played Lucy Bronze in her girls' team.
Shout out Lucy Bronze.
Shout out. Slight different career paths after that, but
maybe we can get her on future episode.
Maybe. Lucy, if you remember me, I once marked you really well in hockey. And I also had 2 female coaches in that time.
Quite rare.
Yeah, really rare. But at the time,
That's
I was
quite
like,
rare still now.
Yeah, exactly. One was a parent. One was someone that just wanted to get into coaching. She then had to depart coaching, but I'm not going to go into that. But
it's a different pod.
That's a different pod. But I think I'm not saying it was perfect. Like, there were a lot of issues, of course, but I think I grew up thinking that was the norm. Even in school, like, I had school teachers that were all about us playing all this. I played sports 5 days a week, all different sports, boys sports. So when I moved to London, I was a bit like, oh, hang on, that was really a unique. Well, I don't know if it was unique, but it was impressive, and that's not what everyone's got. I also realised that a massive green field is not what every child has access to, which we do have in the northeast or whatever school. It's a really long-winded answer, but so I was playing a little bit when I was here. When I moved here, I wasn't necessarily enjoying it. And then I went on to do my journalism diploma. And one of the modules was sports journalism, and obviously football's my sport. And then I came through this program called 100 FC, which is 100 female coaches. And it's a collaboration between a few of the FAs to try and get more female coaches in the southeast, in London and the southeast. Anyway, so I had 3 reasons initially going into that. And when you applied for that, you had to, which I think is a really good exercise, you had to actually write down why you wanted to do it, which I think had I just found a club and started coaching, I don't know if I would have actively thought about it. So my 3 reasons were, 1, because I was like, well, if I learn more about football, it'll help me on the writing side. Yeah. That's one thing. So more of a career thing. 2, I wanted to work with kids because I'd worked with kids on and off throughout my life. I really like working with kids. And 3, because of the place I was in my life, I was maybe 26, I don't know. But when you're in London for uni, it's great. When uni ends and everyone like disperses, it's actually quite a lonely city. There's a lot of people, but it's a lonely city. So I wanted to find something that helped me have a sense of community and not just like, oh, let's all meet at London Bridge. Like community that. Where I actually live. So those are my 3 initial reasons for getting into it.
Yeah. It's funny you say that as well, actually, because so first point is I would encourage anyone who's listening who is currently coaching and anyone who's listening who's thinking of getting into coaching, write down your motivations. Like, if you're currently coaching, write down the reasons why. And you can have 1, you can have 3, you can have 10. It's up to you, like whatever. But write down why you coach. And if you're thinking of getting into coaching, again, write down like why. Why do you want to get into coaching? What is it that you want out of it? Or what is it that you want to give? And the second point I was going to make was that reminded me of, so the first time I actually thought about why I coach, because it's easy for me to look back and reflect on a coaching career and be like, oh yeah, it was this, this and this. But the first time I actually sat down and answered the question, why do you coach, was when I was doing my B license, which is quite late on in the journey. Maybe we should get, like, instead of like a swear jar, we should get a journey jar.
Every time we say journey,
And every time we say journey, like, some money's got to go in there.
I don't mind journey so much. Do you hate it?
I just feel it's like it's cliched. Anyway, let us know, listeners.
What other word could we say except journey?
Like pathway's still awful, isn't it?
Yeah,
Pathway's really, yeah. But sorry, what I was going to say was, like, when I was doing my B license, I sat down and was like, okay, why do I coach? And I was just writing down loads of words and loads of sort of phrases and stuff. And then out of that came my sort of what people have now described as like my coaching approach or my coaching philosophy or mantra or whatever. And that is engage, educate, empower. And that is because I looked at all the reasons I had for coaching and I was like, yeah, it's built around all of those. It's built around wanting to engage players, because if I'm going to teach them something, I've got to reach them first and I've got to do that in a way that makes sense to them. And I'm not going to know that way until I get to know them as people, not just as players. So engage has always been a really big part of my coaching. And it's probably the part I enjoy the most, in all honesty, is just getting to know the players. And not just as individuals as well, but obviously first and foremost as individuals, but then looking at where the little power dynamics are amongst those players and who are the friends and who aren't friends, but who still work together really well as teammates, but aren't necessarily friends off the pitch, and like all of that stuff. I love all of that. And then educate, obviously, because coaching is teaching. I'm there to teach them this game. And also educate was a big part because I was learning myself. And I think that's something that is probably worth discussing at a later date as well, about especially for women in particular who are thinking of becoming football coaches but aren't sure and feel like, oh, I don't really know the game, like I never played it, I wasn't taught it. Like, I've been obsessed with football as soon as I could walk, but I wasn't taught how to play football and I wasn't taught how to coach. Like, I was eventually taught how to coach football, but a lot of it I kind of is because I tried to learn it myself. And then empower's kind of twofold as well, because it's about empowering the players, because ultimately they're going to go out on the pitch and play. I'm not going to be on the pitch with them. But one of my favorite parts of coaching was that it genuinely empowered me. It made me feel good. Like, it made me feel like I was making a positive difference in like a whole group of girls' lives. And that's really empowering for me. So it's interesting what you were saying, like around community and stuff. I think that's always been a big element of my enjoyment of football coaching.
I was going to say actually that I think it's really important that if you're coaching, you want to give back to players, that kind of thing. But I don't think we should be scared of having our own reasons for wanting to coach, because actually you don't want to be a martyr about it.
Yeah, for sure.
And like, if your only reason is to give back to others, I would say sometimes that can be quite draining.
Yeah, I mean, good luck with that as well, because there will be you could be a saint. There will be days when it's pissing with rain and it's freezing cold and you've had a rubbish day at work, or you've got something going on in your personal life that's just draining, just taking everything from you, and you're supposed to be delivering a session at 7 p.m. And it's like, oh yeah, I'm just doing it out of the goodness of my heart. Like, no, that's not going to carry you. Sorry. Like, you're going to...
No, and don't be scared to say that. Like,
yeah, for sure.
Say what you're... Like, the way my reasons for coaching have changed, I suppose, is that I get that community aspect out of it, and it's in so many ways, and it's so important to me. And I also do, like, another thing we'll talk about, I think, is like pastoral care of kids and all the things that kids are going through. Like, that's really important to me in terms of, like, to your point earlier, wanting to give back to maybe me when I was a young kid. But the other reason I do it is because, like you were saying, like, it helps me grow. Like, sometimes it's so uncomfortable and I'm like, I could easily, like, pack this in because I actually hate this right now. You know when you, like, want to peel your skin off because you just feel so uncomfortable?
Yeah. But that's where the growth comes, right?
Exactly. And I'm like, look at everything I'm getting out of this in terms of life skills, having difficult conversations, putting myself in situations that I could easily avoid, but actually are going to help me to advance much quicker.
Yeah.
That's what I get good stuff out of it as well. Like, I get to hang out with a great bunch of kids. Like, there's no better feeling than when things are going well.
Yeah.
But I think it's important that you find something for you as well as for the players that you're coaching.
Absolutely. It's such an important point. And I think linked to that is if you can answer why you coach, it will also help you to determine where you coach. Because environments are very different. They're like each one, even within grassroots. Let's just stay within grassroots and community. Club to club, woof, there's, depending on how they're run, depending on who they're run by in terms of like demographic, if you're the only female coach, for example, in the whole setup, that's going to be a very different experience for you. And in comparison to if you go to a community club that's run for and by women, or another community club that's very mixed. And then there's a lot of balance, gender balance. So environments, each environment is different. Each environment has pros and cons. Then when you go outside the amateur game and you start looking into academies, that's a whole, like, it almost feels like a different game. When I coached in academy, like when you talk about wanting to peel off your own skin, like, hi, that's me at Chelsea. Like, I felt there were times when I felt so uncomfortable, and it was for various different reasons. But one of them was just because my own sort of confidence in my own ability to do it, because I just felt acutely aware, like especially when you're coaching players who already at 11 years old can just manipulate a football in ways that you only dream about. And you're supposed to be showing them how to do it. I just remember being like, So I think, think about what I would say in football coaching is like, all that glistens is not gold. Like, I think a lot of coaches, and I understand why, and it's to do with pay structure, and it's to do with kudos, and it's to do with like fame and whatever. But I feel like a lot of coaches are like kind of almost desperate to coach at a recognised club and wear that badge on their jacket. And that might work for you, and that might be exactly your career path. And I'm not saying don't pursue it. If anything, I'm saying do try and pursue as many environments as you possibly can to find the right environment for you. But don't assume that because something's so-called elite, that it's therefore going to be the best environment for you. It might be, but don't assume that. Try everything if possible.
Yeah, I think also we shouldn't, it's easier said than done, but go into environments and think, oh, I should just take this so that the kids can play football.
Yeah.
Like, we need to be able to challenge that. And actually, one of the lessons that I suppose I'm still learning is that, like, what I spoke, because I coach girls, so a lot of what I'm trying to do is to use your word, empower them and support them to be exactly who they want to be. And sometimes the way I've gone about that is by not being exactly who I want to be and doing things. And I'm like, what example am I setting? Like, they need to see me set this, not just in what I'm saying and what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I suppose an example is, like, I don't know, there's this thing in coaching where it's like, you shouldn't take a holiday. You should be there for absolutely every training session. You should be there for absolutely every. And then I've done it more this season where I've been like, I need to go home. Like, I need to go home, and the kids need to see me go home.
Yeah.
So they know that's important. They know that I'm taking time for myself. I've got someone great that helps me out that can step in there. But I think, what was my initial point, Ali, and is it linked to what you said?
You're talking about empowerment and for empowering players to be their true selves.
Oh yeah, and I was talking about environments.
I got her back on track.
Well, kind of.
All right.
No, I was talking about not just feeling like we have to accept environments for what they are.
Yeah.
And if you're uncomfortable in it, go. Like
Yes.
like we're telling you, like one of the things that I know frustrates you, and you can tell me if we need to cut this out later, but also frustrates me on your behalf as your friend, is that people are like, oh, but Ali, you'll get back into it soon, or like, oh Ali, you just haven't found the right place. It's like, just let her leave.
I mean, I feel like it's a story of my life. You just haven't met the right guy. I was told for decades, you do want children. You just haven't met the right guy. No, I just don't want children. Sorry. Yes, absolutely. I've had lots of people. So I stopped coaching, just to paint the picture for anyone who cares. Hopefully the people listening. I stopped. So I left Chelsea Girls Academy. Like, I'm not here to knock Chelsea at all. Unreal players. I feel like I've probably coached some girls that might play for England one day. Like, how that's amazing. If that I'll follow their playing careers, because if they end up doing that, how amazing is that to be like, I coached you for 2 seasons? Like, that's
she
amazing.
Wants the free ticket.
All right, okay. Get me a signed shirt. But unreal talent, brilliant technical director at that club, just unreal facilities. Emma Hayes, obviously, amazing, incredible work at that club to get the women's game as equal as she can get it, really. And I learned so much there. But I reached a point with it where I was like, last summer I reached a point and pre-season was arriving and I didn't feel excited. And that scared me, because I've always been excited for pre-season. And so I made the brave or stupid, we're yet to discover, decision to leave. So I left Chelsea last summer, just before pre-season, and I left a community club that I was coaching at, Goals for Girls. Shout out Goals for Girls, amazing initiative, which was in East London. I stopped coaching with them in October half term last year. And I literally have not coached a session since. And what was your question again? Oh, because people say...
We're really good at holding a thought.
I mean, the edit. Good luck to the editor. Yes, is it you?
I think it might be me.
Good luck, Steph. I've forgotten again.
So I was saying how annoying it is when people come back.
Say, oh yeah.
Yeah. Just so everyone knows, and I've also done it in this pod, but this is Ali. If you ask her a question, you're not getting the straight. You'll get right. So, for example, if I was like, "Oh, Ali, how was your lunch?" You'd be like, "Oh, I'll tell you what it is, Steph. I got up at 8 a.m. this morning. It's really hard for me to get out of bed. Like, I really hate getting out of bed. So then I got that's it. And then we'll get to lunch 8 minutes later." So you've laid your back in track. And now you're talking about how you feel when people are saying, Ali, you just haven't found the right role.
I mean, I can give a straight answer, but that's boring. Okay. So, good luck on the edit. So, if you're still with us, listeners, everyone's just clicked off at half an hour. Like, these two do not know what they're doing or what they're talking about. So, yes, it is frustrating. So, basically, I think the reason I'm struggling to answer this question as well is because actually that I stopped coaching for kind of burnout reasons, but I also stopped coaching because of emotional burnout, and that we will come on to in a different episode because it is a heavy topic. So I think the reason I'm sort of struggling to answer it is because I'm trying not to talk about that. But I think, so what I'd say is, in fairness to people that are like, oh, how come you're not coaching anymore? Oh, don't you miss it? Oh, are you going to come back to it? In fairness to them, it's because they don't know one of the key reasons as to why I stopped coaching, and that's not their fault. But equally, that is a good example of exactly everyone. You don't know. You don't know what's going on in someone's life. So just be mindful when someone's made a decision about their life don't like. I've made a choice. I made a no one made me do it. I made a choice to take a break from coaching. I think other people just maybe need to think a bit more compassionately around, oh, well, obviously she had a reason or reasons for that. Like, maybe let's just not like attack her like it's, why the hell have you done that? And also I think we need to get better at celebrating people walking away for things not meant for them. Like, if you feel like you've reached a point with something and you don't want to do it anymore, no matter what it is, and you're brave enough to go, yeah, you know what, that's not for me right now. Like, we should celebrate that in one another and not be like, oh my God. Because I think the problem is it speaks to the fear within us, doesn't it? I think when people react that way to me, it says more about them than me. But this feels like it's getting deep, man. This is like psychology.
Wait. I think I can loop us back. Well, I was going to say that it's linked to the culture of like, we're just meant to push through, or it should be difficult, or resilience, because coaching is like, you know, everyone wants to do it. You're meant to deal with the hard stuff and whatever. But
yes.
I actually think that you can link it back to why you coach. Because I've found myself at times, maybe in some of those positions, and it's because all I'm doing every week is turning up to training on a Thursday, turning up to matches on a Sunday, and just going through the thank you, I was going to say the process, going through the motions and not actively giving myself any space to think about what this is. So then I try really hard to be like, I mean, it's not like, you know, every Thursday, the fourth Thursday of every month I think about this, but like, I do try really hard to make space to be like, okay, let's actively sit down and think about it. Is it serving you? What's going well? What isn't? What have you learned? And by the same token, I try not to make a judgment on it just after a session or just after a game, because it always looks different the next day. So I suppose just what I'm saying is, if you have the why you coach, it doesn't mean it can't change. It just means it gives you a point to reflect from and to come back to, and to kind of keep yourself a bit more grounded with it.
Yeah, and I think it's important to remember that purpose is different from function, right? So your function as a football coach is to basically coach the players how to play football. But your purpose, it's like, that's your why.
Say purpose again.
Purpose. But your purpose. But your purpose. Oh, that's going to be a...
Way to go and get your face. You got to turn...
Purpose.
Thank you.
But your purpose is... So I always said that, you know, my function is to coach some football, but my can't say it now.
Sorry.
But my purpose was to it's all right, I'll get you to say book in a minute. But my purpose was to I've forgotten now because you've thrown me.
You know what your purpose is. Come on.
It was around kind of instilling like a lifelong love for the game and creating a legacy of care. Because one of the most important things to me is I still have players now from when I was at Spurs who message me about like, oh, do you remember that time? Do you remember that game we had that? Or do you remember that training session? And that this is like 4 or 5 years ago. And those connections you make, and I guess to bring it back as well, to bring some of the listeners back from the brink, because I feel like it got a bit depressing for a while back there.
Well, it's like it's going to happen.
I have so many wonderful, beautiful moments from coaching. And I look back on it as a career. I look back on it so fondly. And I never say never. I'm not saying I'm never going to coach again.
You just haven't found the right position.
But
I'm glad we've landed there. Thank God.
I haven't found the right client. Yeah. No, but I just, but I do, honestly, it's given me so much. And it's given, there were so many opportunities that came from it that wouldn't have come otherwise. And so I'm just conscious that, you know, I don't want people to think this is going to be a podcast about us being like, yeah, so this is really shit about coaching. This was really hard. I had a really hard time with this. And then I gave it all up. Like, that's not the vibe.
No, it's not the vibe. It's equal parts positive.
I think we should try.
Sorry. Minimum 60% positive is what we're going for. Again. Yeah, please do.
But yeah, so many, like genuinely so many, like I got to coach in Spain. Like it was just so many brilliant opportunities, and I learned so much, not just about myself as a football coach, but about myself as a person. And that sounds awfully cliched, but it's true. And it's helped me develop in so many ways, and it's helped me recognize the confidence actually that was always within me, and the environments that brought it out of me and the environments that didn't. And again, we will get onto that in future episodes. I can tell none of you can wait.
I always just think sometimes it sounds really silly. And I'm not saying that people shouldn't complain about coaching, because I've just spent 40 minutes saying that they should. But tell me if I'm talking too fast. Sometimes when I'm like in the middle of a session and feeling stressed, I'm like, Steph, you're wearing tracksuit bottoms, first of all.
Tucked into your socks.
Oh, yeah, right, okay.
Oh, gosh. Let's talk about the fits.
This is a question. Okay, so Ali doesn't...
Like we need a jingle.
We both wear like academy pants, right? Like Nike.
Academy pants?
That's what they're called. That's the official name.
Academy knickers.
Academy pants. But in Newcastle, we say pants for all kind of bottom half wear.
Say book.
Book. Right. Why don't you tuck your academy pants into your socks?
We should do a vote on it. Like we will discuss it now, but we should put this out to the
We will put this out.
Who tucks this?
But no, okay, so this is what it is. Make your, like, you got to convince people to go with you, not case, tucking in. Make your case.
I mean, that's not who I am as a person, Steph, as you know, each to their own. But if pushed, like, it's just an aesthetic. I don't like the way it looks. It also reminds me of my PE teacher from school, from secondary school, who used to tuck her shell suit into... I am that old. Who used to tuck her academy pants into her socks.
Were they the same colour or a different colour?
She used to wear. I'm not gonna lie. She used to remind me of Kevin Keegan. I'm not making that up. Like she had his hair, and she used to wear black Adidas with the white stripes. It's proper like Kevin Keegan vibes, and tucked into her white socks. But what she also used to do. My secondary school was on two sites, like upper site on top of a hill and lower site, obviously, funnily enough, at the bottom of a hill, and the she used to drive her car between the sites,
like
smoking
up the hill.
Yeah, smoking cigarettes on her way. And I'm like,
on school premises.
But she's a PE teacher. I'm like, anyone should be like, when we talk about, we'll get onto values as a coach as well.
Yeah.
Like, you know, demonstrating the values you want to see in your players and all that jazz. So, you know, in some ways I had quite a lot of respect for her. Like, she was just living her best life, wasn't she? She didn't care. But yeah, she used to tuck her academy pants into her socks, and it just wasn't a look for me, and has never been a look for me. But then equally, well, no, I won't say this now because this could be another vote for another time. But I just think there's lots of looks.
But I don't say that. I say look.
No, I just said Luke's.
Okay.
There's not anyone called Luke. Imagine if you're called Luke and you're listening to this and you're like, what? Was it? Shout out Luke's. There's lots of looks that can take place with coaches that some coaches get proper like stressy about. So maybe this is just one of them. And I'm genuinely interested to see what our three listeners think about.
Shout out Amanda right now. We love Amanda.
Shout out Amanda.
Let me tell you why I do it, and then also just important notes for anyone that does want to do it, because I've learned the hard. She's pointing at the time because she doesn't want to hear this.
I'm like, my students, that's 45 minutes.
So,
shame.
Couple of things here. One, I don't think that I enjoy like a full colour throughout. So say you're coaching, like say you got black top, black pants, my boots or Astros both black. I'm like, if you're covering my ankle, we're like one colour, so I will wear white socks and tuck into that. Reason number two,
okay,
is
can't wait to hear this. Based on reason number one,
I don't like things flapping around my ankles when I'm moving. Like you can say I even roll my jeans up because I just don't like a little. And if I'm like coaching and playing and there's a bit of like wind or like air.
Where do you think that comes from, Steph? Oh no, wait.
No.
Therapy part.
I'll tell you, I can't even have like if my bra strap is like this much out of place. I feel it has to be exactly where it is. So
yeah, I mean you should fit your bras correctly.
No, but like people, some people can have like a sloppy strap.
No, but then you're not actually supporting your breast. Sorry.
But some people aren't bothered, or like
yeah, but they should be.
Yeah. But I'm talking about me. I'm talking about me.
Sorry, she's talking about her.
So I don't like air up my.
Please finish that sentence.
I don't like air up my academy pant, and I don't like my academy pant or whatever pant it is just flapping around my ankle.
Of all the places I thought this episode was going to go, it was not air flapping up your academy pant. But you live and you learn.
But so my tip for anyone that does want to tuck the pant into the sock, and I would just wear like a sock.
Pant into the sock? Into the pant?
No.
Oh no, the pant into the sock.
Yeah, you tuck the sock into the pant.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
It's like I don't wear full football socks. I just wear like the socks that cut here. Anyway,
have you got your shin pads under your coaching academy pants?
They come on right now. No. So obviously the academy pants have got the zip on, haven't they?
For sure.
So if you wrap it wrong, you cut yourself or you get a little sore. So it's just really important. What you do is you roll the sock down, you wrap it around. Maybe this can be like a TikTok demo, if people want it. And then you make sure you get the zip on top of other material rather than something on top of the zip so it doesn't rub. My final point.
Oh my, okay.
Is then if you've done it sitting down, you then need to stand up to make sure that it's properly tucked in and there's not like sag of the pant on top of the sock.
Okay, so
finished.
My question for you is, at what point during that do you think we lost the listener? Like, not like it. like just.
Can actually look at those stats.
Yeah, I'd be interested.
Let's look at them. And I did just say you tell read along stories and I've talked about academy pants for that long.
Oh, how the tables they do turn.
My initial point was though sometimes I'm outside and I'm feeling shit.
She didn't like a flappy
I'm feeling shit. My ankle's not flappy.
Sore.
I'm like, it could be worse. I could have a flappy ankle. But I'm like, I'm in green space. I'm doing this with a bunch of kids. Like, those are the things that I really enjoy. I'm not, I don't know, wearing suit trousers, which I don't like.
You're wearing a suit to coach? I mean, maybe on FA.
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay. Okay, you don't like a flappy ankle. I get it. Should we call it there, or do you want to?
No, we can wrap it up. Do you want to?
I was just thinking about key takeaways, but all I can think about is flappy ankles.
No, flappy ankles. That's my key takeaway. I suppose, Ali, if there is someone listening to this that is thinking about why they coach and assessing that, whether they've started coaching, they want to start coaching, what would you be saying to them when they're thinking about it?
Just why? Just why do you coach? No. I guess just be honest with yourself. Like, don't feel like you have to write down some really noble reason. We talked about like giving back to the community and all that jazz. Like, that's great if that's part of it. But be really honest with yourself, because also you don't have to share this. Like, no one has to know your reason why. But it is really important that you know, because in my opinion, the reason that that's really important is if you can't relatively easily identify why you coach or why you want to coach, it might not be the right thing for you to be doing at this moment.
I think if you can't think of why you want to do it, don't do it. Mm-hmm. Like, if you're a parent and it's like, oh, my kid's team needs some help, I'm around, I'll do it. Sit down and think about if you actually want to do it. Because nobody needs that. You don't need to be there. If you don't want to be there, the kids know.
Yeah.
Whether you say it or not. And that's fine if you don't want to do it. You're better not being there than being there and not wanting to be there, because that rubs off.
Preach. Because the novelty rubs off really quickly.
Yeah.
Like, you get your kit and you're like, yay. And then you're like, oh, it doesn't fit properly. We'll make it work. But But then after that, it's
You get the wrong initials. My brother's team got all.
I've never had initials. Oh, I did have initials at Girls for Girls.
And Dalmain. No?
And Dalmain.
Dalmain, where we both started.
Yeah, so I'd say be honest. Like, be true to yourself. Do you know what I mean? Be honest with yourself about what your motivations are. You don't have to share them with anyone if you don't want to. Although, again, in a lovely little interactive touch, we would really love it if some of you do want to share your why you coach. You don't have to share that with everyone on social media. You can share it with just us at email address. We don't have it later.
No, can you do the social medias? So we are at Who's Got the Balls podcast on Instagram, at Who's Got the Balls on Twitter, and at Who's Got the Balls podcast on TikTok.
Whoop, whoop.
Yes, and I am at Steph Fairbairn on Instagram and Twitter, and you are?
Oh, I'm really annoyingly not. There's no.
There's a lot of underscores that caused me some trouble one time.
Turns out there's some other Coach Allies. Like, I don't know who they think they are, to be honest, but they're not me.
No, they're not. They're absolutely not you.
Pretenders to this throne.
They're delayed.
So I'm Coach Ali, but there's a few underscores. You'll have to find me. But we'll link it. What we'll do is maybe we'll link those into the main accounts.
We'll definitely do that. We'll also put it in the show notes.
Yeah, so
do you know what the show notes are?
I do. I'm learning all about podcasting, everyone. I'm on a podcast journey. So yeah, you'll definitely find us online. But what I was trying to say, Steph, was that if for people that maybe want to,
when she says my name, it's serious,
right? But for people who maybe want to interact with us, but not necessarily everyone else just at this stage, we would love to create a community that interacts with each other as well. But if you just want to interact with us, we will also have an email address, was what I was trying to get at. Or we will.
We absolutely will. And we will also put that in the show notes.
Well, that's good, isn't it? Otherwise, I'll just make
we're going to have an inbox, dedicated inbox.
And we've got a website.
So we have got a website.
Do a little contact us at.
We will. It's called who'sgottheballs.com.
Funnily enough.
Yeah. Shockingly, that wasn't taken.
I mean,
got straight in there. We didn't have to pay anyone big bucks for it, did we?
So yeah, but this has been a lovely conversation. Sorry, what, you want me to look at the camera?
Yeah, maybe when we're signing off.
Oh, bye. This has been a lovely conversation. And I didn't think we were going to do an official sign-off. I thought we were just going to...
Well, we could, but I did want to say, but I do try and say this to you a lot, that I'm grateful that we get to do this together.
I swear she gets emotional, everyone.
Leave me hanging.
I just kill it.
Yeah.
I've got issues. No, that's lovely. I'm genuinely excited that we did this. What we're going to do now is we're going to press stop and then we're going to scream really loudly in this booth and everyone's going to be like, what has just happened in there? It's been so exciting to finally record. And I just genuinely can't wait for people to listen to it, and I hope they enjoy it as much as we have. Maybe we just...
Okay, we might trim
leave
this.
it there. What I love is that the bowling